Well, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Bandit Revival. This is part 5, which is to do with the rebuild of the Petcock. If you're watching part 4, we left it with the Petcock dripping and leaking. We're going to have a little look and see what's happening inside and rebuild with that service kit. So the Petcock is off. Spot what's missing. I was expecting to find the in-house filter. Maybe it would be sloshing about in the tank, but the filter should go over the piping here. That's the first mystery to solve. Of course, not forgetting to mention that the Petcock is secured to the fuel tank by these two bolts. You have to separate the sandwich of metalwork from plastic and rubber. So we do that now. I can only do it with two hands. So there's the Petcock diaphragm separated from its metal housing. It is a little bit tired, so we do just want to replace that. That's a bit manky around there, so we'll brush that out. Give it a good old clean. Not bad for 28 years. You'll notice the locating dowels, if I can point to the correct ones this time, there and there, and that's for the plastic housing, etc. The trick of these is to push the diaphragm through and with care and reassemble. So the tap off just screws with these. There's two little screws here which secure that there. And there's another bit of rubber here which we will get out. Now, on closer inspection, as I said previously, I was expecting a larger filter to cover these two pipes, but this is actually a filter here, and the same this side. This one's in a right old state. I think there is now value in what I have seen and read in placing an inline filter between the fuel tank and the Petcock. Judged by the amount of crud on there, it'll be easier to service every time at service rather than the rigmarole of getting the Petcock out. That will come at a later date. Right, we'll just take the O-ring out of there before we lose it, or more importantly forget to put the new one in. I'm just going to use petroleum jelly on the rubber bits, especially the diaphragm. When comparing the two diaphragms themselves, you can see that the original on the left is rather tired. It's stretched a little bit in the middle as well. So the new diaphragm will stack onto there, which we've cleaned up. And then you put the spring on and tighten the outer casing down with the 5 screws we started off with in the first place. So the last bit is the rubber gasket for between the Petcock and where it screws into the tank. So I'll just replace that, remove this one and put a new one in. So the fuel tank is temporarily on. The feed and return to the Petcock is secure. Let's see what happens. For the record, the tap is on run. Here we go. yeah, she starts. First proper start after, well, shall we say 12 years, 13 years? She starts. Next job is to get her to run properly. I think there's a slight misfire on one of the cylinders. Number one looks favourite to me, but we're just getting to snagging now. But of course there's other jobs to do aside from starting. I expect the clutch and brake fluids will be changed probably sometime this week. Fingers crossed that diaries meet. But we've got there and I'm chuffed. Stand by for part 6.